Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I am your host, Dennis Bethalkis, and this is Preacher, Season 4, Episode 7, Messiahs. And actually a pretty damn good episode. That's all I can say. Where was this earlier on? Quite honestly, this was kind of what we wanted from Preacher, the insanity of it all and things like that. Before I get into everything, let me just take care of a little bit of business. If you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. You can hit the dislike button. I just ask you to go down below in the comment section. Tell me what it is you don't like. Give me some constructive criticism. Give me a little feedback. Also, you can hit the bell down below and see when I'm beyond next. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you because they're fairly bad at that. But you can go into the bell settings and get as many or as little notifications as you want off of that. If you already hit the bell, don't hit it again. It will unclick it. If you really want to see what I'm beyond, again, you can go to my webpage, suspendedfanimation.com. I've got my schedule up there. I only do it for the week. I also have that mirrored on my Facebook page as well for Suspended Fanimation. I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram, and I also have a Facebook page, a Patreon page, but I don't have any tiers set up yet on that. So, with that out of the way, let's get to some spoilers. Spoiler alert. I am going to spoil the shit out of the episode. If you have not seen the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section. Thank you, Viking Bitch, for the paddle. And I think I'm going to be all alone tonight in this one because I think a lot of people have dropped out, unfortunately, out of this. I almost dropped out as well. I mean, considering that we don't have that many more episodes left. We've got 10 episodes, I believe, altogether. So what is it? This is 7. So we have, hey, there you go. There's a Nairi. Nairi? There we go. You're not giving up yet. Hey, and Pen Farm Girl, welcome. Yeah, this was actually a pretty good one, to tell you the truth. And I was wondering, where in the hell was this all this time? I mean, there was 2 or 3 episodes there where we were just kind of spinning wheels and going nowhere. And I kind of felt like we were back out in, Louisiana, New Orleans, in the fucking apartment again. And yeah, this is something that we needed, quite honestly. So we start off with Cass and Tulip. They're burying Jesse's body out in the outback, and the Santa Killers looks on at them, and then he turns and leaves. And then we see Jesse giving a fishing lesson to a little girl who may or may not be his daughter. I'm not too sure. They didn't really get into that. And he's approached by Fiore, and Fiore asks him if he knows who he is. And he's like, yeah, you're Fiore. And he goes, do you know who you are? And he goes, yes, I'm Jesse Custer. And he goes, I'm dead, aren't I? And this is heaven. And Fiore's like, yeah, it is. And he takes him through heaven and says, it was much nicer before the war happened. And he's saying heaven's kind of empty now. And he leads him to a door and leads him through it. And there's these angels that are in battle gear. And Jesse's like, okay, what do you want? And he goes, well, we want you to lead. And he's like, what? And so he tells the angels to kind of move aside. And we see the throne. And he goes, we want you to, God is gone. Heaven is empty. And we want you to take his place. Yeah, this isn't the south of France. Exactly. It isn't the south of France. Yeah, when Jesse asks him if it's heaven. He doesn't say exactly if it's heaven or not. He goes, it isn't the south of France, is what he says. So Tulip and Cass are flying back to the car, and they're completely in a stunned state, in complete silence. They're not talking to each other or anything about this. They get in the car, they're driving away. There's nothing on the radio, so Cass just turns on static, and they drive away in silence. And finally, night falls. They stop at the side of the road. Tulip pulls out Jesse's letter and reads it, and she's starting to cry as she's reading it. And Cass tries to speak, and Tulip gets out and just walks away. And she's upset. So Cass looks at his burned hand, the one that he was using to help Jesse out when he was hanging outside the airplane. His hand's still burning, needs to be healed. And he hears chickens. He gets up out of the car, and he rings the doorbell to a house. And this old guy answers the bell and asks him if he's run out of gas. And Cass is like, yeah, something like that. And he comes in, he goes, hey, did you want some lemonade? I got some, squash lemonade I just made. And Cass grabs this towel off the back of a chair and wipes his boots with it. And the guy's like, "Oh, no, don't do that. That's the missus towels. You shouldn't, be wiping your boots with that." And Cass asks him where the missus is, and he says, "Oh, well, she passed on a little while ago," that kind of thing. And Cass is looking at him kind of menacingly, and the guy asks him, "Well, what are you here for?" And Cass tells him, "I'm here to eat your chickens." In the meantime, Tulip is inside the church that's there and is just tossing pews left and right. And she finally just kind of sits down. She's smoking a cigarette, and she says, "Hello? Nothing?" She looks up, at the picture behind the cross there, of God comforting some people and all this stuff. And she ends up lighting the Bible on fire and walking away. She lit the church on fire. She gets into the car, and Cass gets into the car, and Cass is covered in blood and tells her, nobody was home. And she says, yeah, something like that. Kind of like he was asking her the question, but he was actually covering for himself. And she notices he's covered in blood, doesn't really give a shit. So we see Hoover 2 getting coffee at the Masada Starbucks. And the person behind the counter looks strangely like a disguised Featherstone. And the disguised Featherstone asks about the Allfather, and nothing for the Allfather, and goes, "No, he still hasn't gotten back yet," is what Hoover 2 says. And then we see Hairstar crawling in the outback after the dingo, who's got a blurred object in its mouth as it's running away from him, which is Hairstar's penis. Yes, it's got his penis and his balls in its mouth. And Hairstar is trying to, get it to come back. He's yelling at it to stop. And of course, it runs away, and he just rolls over onto his back, and he's bleeding. He's got blood everywhere all over him. So we get to a TV show there. The dingo scene was actually pretty funny, I have to admit. It was disturbing, but also funny at the same time. Especially that was pixelated, whatever was in the dingo's mouth. So we get to It's Morning in America. It's a TV show, and the vapid air people that are on there are talking about if cats can hack your credit score and all that kind of stuff, and how they're going to talk to the FBI about that. And the third reporter is like, you know what, screw this, screw all these fluff pieces. We should be talking about the real stuff, the real news, like the big atomic bomb, the nuclear device that went off out in the Australian outback from the New Zealand government, how they're at war with each other, and how everyone should be fucking praying right now. And it's going to take a goddamn miracle, he says, to keep us from going through a thermonuclear war. And they're like, oh, and the other talking heads are like, well, I don't know. There's some children watching this. You shouldn't be scaring them. And he's, a little bit more adamant about that. So Fiore is talking to Jesse and tells him, he tells Jesse to sit, in the throne. And Jesse walks up to the throne and touches it. And we see him sit, and then he becomes God, essentially. He says, I am the Alpha, I'm the Omega, all that stuff. And we see him splinter on all these pieces and everything, and he becomes God. And then we see it's actually just him touching the chair, and that's what he is seeing. And he's like, nope, not doing it. That's a sin, is what he says. He goes, the worst sin there is, and you're all traitors. And all the angels are pulling their swords, and Fiore's like, whoa, hang on a sec. We're all friends here. He goes, I think you're taking a little too harshly there. And that's, that's to be expected. Everyone, doesn't want to sit in that in the first place, which is kind of a red flag there when he says not everyone wants to sit in it when they're first offered. So that was kind of an odd thing for Fiore to say. We go back to Tulip and Cass, and they're meeting someone named Danny, who Tulip wants to know the location of something. And Danny says, well, I want you to do something for me first before I tell you where it is. We don't know exactly what it is. So we see Cass and Tulip in a diner, and Cass is reminiscing about the old days of this town that he's in, and says, I don't know why I ever left this place. He goes, and he's reminiscing about these old guys that were in their 20s at the time. He goes, well, I should look him up. Well, they're probably dead now. That's what he says, and he's thinking about it. And he tells Tulip, you know what? I can help with whatever it is that we need to do here. And he goes, you don't need to go through this alone. And Tulip's like, nope, I got it. And the waitress comes by, drops off their check, and Tulip gets up and shoots a guy a table over who's wearing a yarmulke on his head, and shoots him in the head, kills him. Everyone screams and runs out, and Cass nonchalantly gets up, pays the bill on the table, and walks out too. Yeah. So Hitler introduces Jesus to Humperdoo, and they're hugging, and Humperdoo gets a gigantic erection, of course, and goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hitler's like, yeah, do you like, what do you think of him? And Hitler starts playing the piano, and Humperdoo doesn't dance. And we all know that only the clones of Humperdoo do not dance. And so Jesus actually says, hey, I thought he was supposed to dance to that. And Hitler's like, that's because that is not that's not the Messiah. And he shoots him. And Jesus is like, whoa, 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 Jesus Christ, what the hell are you doing? Which I thought was funny that Jesus Christ uses his own words, everyone loves Humperdoo. Come on. And Hitler explains to Jesus that there are hundreds of Humperdoo clones running around out there. But there's only one who's the real Messiah, and that no one knows where he is. And that basically the rest of them are worthless, but he thinks that there should be only one Messiah, and it should be Jesus, is what he says. And forget about Humperdoo, is what he says. So Tulip and Cass have gone back to Danny at this point, and Danny is very surprised that Tulip killed her husband so quickly, because she's been asking her for about 10 years now to do it. And Tulip's like, well, you know what? Things are different. So take me to him. And Danny's like, you know what? I can't take you to him. I promised I wouldn't, and I won't. And Tulip at this point just climbs over the table and starts beating the shit out of Danny and goes, where is he? Then we have Jesse, of course, talking to Fiore, and he's like, you know what? I'm dead, but I still want a cigarette. So Fiore gives him a pack of cigarettes, and Fiore says, I can understand you not wanting to violate God's will by not sitting in the throne and everything, but what if by not sitting in God's throne, you're going against God's will anyway? It's roundabout logic, which I thought was kind of funny. And Jesse's like, I've done really bad things, though, and I don't deserve to be here in heaven. I don't know why he sent me here. He goes, I even wanted to, I tried to get away from my friends because I had hate for them as well. He goes, I wanted to kill them at some point, and I knew it was going to happen if I didn't get away from them. And Fiore goes, yeah, well, that's all behind you now. You've forgiven them. And he goes, no, I haven't. And he goes, wait a minute. This isn't heaven, is it? And Fiore's like, I never said it was. And that's when we see the little display thing over the cell, that hell usually has, breaks down, and Jesse finds he's in a cell in hell, and he bangs on the door to be let out, tries using the voice, but there's nobody there to hear him. Yeah. So Tulip, in the meantime, takes Danny to a building, and they're sitting outside, and you see Danny's got some tissues in her nose for the blood, and she says, I can't show you where he is. And Tulip's like, yeah, you will. And she goes, what, you going to shoot me? And she goes, yeah, I am. She goes, well, what the fuck happened? What changed? And where's Jesse? And Cass, says he's dead. That's what he tells her. So Hoover, too, is delivering coffee to Hitler and Jesus, and he hears them arguing outside. He's outside the room, and he hears them arguing, and he delivers the coffee, and he leaves. And Danny ends up taking Cass and Tulip into a synagogue, is what it is. And we see that there's worship going on at this point in time. And they walk through the synagogue. They go to the back room, and they go through this hallway to this door. And she goes, are you ready? And they're like, Jesus Christ, yes, we have. We've been ready for a while now. Let us in. So they go in, and who's there but Humperdoo? Jesse had taken Humperdoo over to Danny for safekeeping. So the real Humperdoo. And, Danny ends up playing the piano there. That she has like a little keyboard, a synthesizer keyboard, and we see Humperdew dance. It is the real Humperdew at this point. And she goes, yeah, she goes, you know what? I had my misconceptions about why he brought him here to the first place until I got to know him a bit more. Then he instilled me with love and he changed who I was. She goes, that's why I can't let you take him. That's what she says. He's the Messiah. And Tulip pushes, Danny down and takes Humperdew, and they just start walking back through the synagogue. And that's when Danny comes out and tells them that they're trying to take the Messiah and to stop them. And everyone, all the Hasidic Jews start, gathering around them and start grabbing them and tell them to stop. And it looks like violence is about to ensue because Cass bares his teeth. When Humperdew stands up and sings a little bit, does this, his weird sing-songy kind of thing that he does, and everyone bows down before him. And then Humperdew walks around them, grabs Tulip by the hand, and starts walking out. And Danny asks, where are you taking him? And Cass stops, turns around, and Tulip and Humperdew have left the building at this point. And Cass turns around and starts telling her a story about a woman that he knew that had 5 sons. And when the war was going on, her husband was shipped back in a box. And it came to the youngest son in order to prosper for them and all this stuff. And basically, it was just a shit show that was happening. And that the whole moral of the story was that this woman was stupid for loving God for all the shit that he bestowed upon them. And they were stupid for doing the same thing as well. And that what they were going to do is since God loved Humperdew so much, they were going to bring Humperdew before God, kill him in front of him, and basically as a big fuck you to him. And they walk out. And I love how there's one guy in there who goes, we had a Messiah? And how come no one told me about this? And Danny's like, because we didn't tell you about him. You talk. Is what happens. You schmuck is what she says. And yeah. Wow. So then we get to Pensacola, Florida. And we see a police station. And inside is Chief Whitman. He gets a call, a long distance phone call. And it's from Hoover 2, who has been missing for 14 months and presumed dead. He's actually he's with the police, and his name is Nix. And he says, it's more than a car theft ring. It's actually, I've got Hitler and Jesus here, and they're planning the apocalypse, and the apocalypse isn't going to happen on my watch. Not while I've got a badge in my pocket. And, Whitman's telling him how great he is and how he's going to make detective before he's 30. And that's when Featherstone shows up right next to him and puts 2 bullets in his head. And then takes off her disguise, and we see that it's Featherstone. Yeah. Humperdew has his head hanging out the window as Tulip and Cass are driving away. And they're driving away again in silence, as they have been for a while now. Very determined. So Jesse is still stuck in his cell and in hell, and he's laying on his back there as, Fiore standing over him. And Fiore tells him, yes, I am just a projection, but the offer is still real. He goes, once you accept the offer, he goes, you come out of hell, essentially. And Jesse's like, yeah, no, fuck this. I don't think so. And Fiore's like, you know what? Let me try another tactic. And we see everything go dark. And then he takes him back to the throne room, God's throne room. He goes, this is God in 2015. And we see God sitting on his throne, listening to prayers. And it's just all really shitty prayers. And God's like, nope, nope, nope. And Fiore comes in and says, I have something I have to tell you. Genesis has escaped, but we can go back. We can go down and go and get him, and we can find him. And God leans forward and goes, shit. He goes, no, you know what? Thank you. He goes, you've given me something to think about. I've got to think about this. I got to figure out a way to handle it, but thank you. So Fiore starts to leave. And as he's leaving, God zooms up through the ceiling and smashes through the glass there. And we see God end up going on a road trip. We get Holiday Road by Lindsey Buckingham playing as he is on his motorcycle, zooming through with all these various women riding on the back of his motorcycle. And he's ignoring the needy the poor, all this stuff. He is being very ungodlike at this point. He sees the dog suit in the window and buys the dog suit, and we see him riding away wearing the dog suit. And Jesse goes, that fucking dog suit, man, it's really creepy. And Fiore agrees, like, yeah, it's really weird. And Jesse goes, but he's got to have bigger plans. And Fiore says, yeah, he's been working on something. And we see God actually stitching something together in his little camper van, his RV van. And there's blood that's getting splashed in his face as he's doing it. We see him holding something up. It looks like a cross between, it looks like a feathered eel is what it looks like, honestly. And Fiore says that the bigger plan is, he had dinosaurs first, and then replaced dinosaurs with man. So now he's going to do creation part 3, where he's going to replace humans with another creation. And he shows Jesse the tapestry that is before him. We don't see what it is. We can just see it in the distance, but you can't make any details out on it. And that's where we end the episode. So yeah, there was just a lot of, exposition that just burned right through it in this episode. And no one ever really liked Hoover to Robert M. Yeah, I didn't like him either. He was kind of a dick. But that's because the actor who played Hoover moved over to The Boys, the other Seth Rogen show. Yeah. But yeah, it was a good episode. I'm kind of surprised, and I really, really, really wish they had started off this way with going this fast paced. We didn't need God trying to, you know, throw roadblocks in their way and all this kind of stuff. Because quite honestly, it was boring, and they probably lost a shit ton of viewers from the first step after the first 2 episodes, which were not that great. Yeah, up until last week. Quite honestly, and it took 6 episodes to get the very beginning of episode 1. Yeah, that was not cool, quite honestly. So let's see. Apple Crow, I haven't seen this one yet. Did this episode get any better? If you're out there, Apple Crow, yes, it did. And let me know if you got your package, Apple Crow, as well, because that went out in the mail. So let's see what we got. Poor Humperdew. Yeah. Jesse finally giving a Messiah to the Jewish people would be so sacrilegious in any other show. Here it doesn't even register. Yeah, I know. That was actually kind of funny too, Penn Farm Girl. I have to agree. Yeah. Jesse hiding the Messiah, in a synagogue. Even though he is, king of the Jews kind of thing, even though it's not Jesus, it's a clone of, yeah. Anyway, just that whole thing all the way around is just all kinds of sacrilegious. I'm kind of surprised that religious people like Christians and stuff like that are not burning down AMC studios at this point, because there's a lot of sacrilegious shit in this, and they've rioted over much less, quite honestly. But it's funny stuff if it's done right, and that's the whole thing. This episode was actually done right. My God. And there's some good lines in this too. There was a whole bunch of I was going to write down some lines, and I just couldn't. I was writing kind of fast because there was a lot of stuff to write down in this episode. Yeah, exactly, Penn. So much sacrilegious content here. That's why it's so fun. Come on. Hitler and Jesus in the same room. And the whole thing with Hitler not shaking, Jesus not shaking Hitler's hand because, of what he's done, but he will give him a hug. That's so wrong on so many levels. And then, of course, Hitler loving Jesus and wanting him to be the Messiah in place of Humperdew. Yeah. Well, the first time we saw Jesus was, back at the time that he lived, right? And that was a little bit different. Yeah. Oh man. Hitler tempting Jesus. Yeah, exactly. And Hitler tempting. I mean, come on. There's all kinds of really, really bad stuff in this, but at the same time, just funny as well. Uh, like I said, I'm really surprised that Christian groups are not more in a tizzy over this, and then they. I mean, come on, they get upset about so many different things. So, yeah, but I mean, we only have 3 episodes left. We got 8, 9, and 10. That's it, and then we're gone. I'm kind of surprised that they're waiting this. Why they waited again? They waited until the last 4 episodes to do anything. Excuse me. They really needed to move this shit along a lot faster than what they did, because now they're going to be, ramping things up too quickly. Yeah, how's Jesse going to get out of hell? And he better lose that fucking eye soon. We don't know if that's going to happen or not. Although next week's, I don't know if you saw the trailer for next week's episode. It could happen next week. So, yeah. I'm interested to see what Featherstone's going to do, to tell you the truth. I mean, and then obviously she finds Hairstar. And she's devoted to Hairstar, but how far does that devotion actually go? I mean, it's kind of like she really wants Hairstar to kill her for some reason. I don't know what it is. She's like really, really intent on that. Because every time, it was like almost every week, she's out there trying to get killed by him after she fucks something up. Yeah, kind of sneaked in that promo with Jesse on his knees. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Penn Farm Girl says, yeah, I'm wondering if Featherstone has a bigger role to play in the grand plan. I'm fairly sure she does. And I'm wondering what it is. Really am wondering what it is. So, good episode. I would give it, this one was a lot of fun, quite honestly. I'd give this one an 8.5 out of 10 on this one. So definitely worth the watch. And if you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Also, if you're still on the fence about joining up, you're going to see a video pop up in this area at the very end of this video. And what it's going to do is it's going to take a look at the algorithms of everything you've watched and pull a video from my vast video library that matches with that algorithm and plop it right up there for you. If you like what you see there, hit the subscribe button and the like button as well. Up here is going to be Saturday Morning Blast Off. You can take a look and see what that's all about. Tomorrow, I'm going to be off. Tuesday, I'm going to do the next segment of Is It Worth My Time? That's going to be the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance edition. Wednesday, I'm going to be off. And Thursday is going to be another edition of Is It Worth My Time? It's going to be the Young Justice Outsiders edition. Excuse me. Yes, SBO is very cool this week. It was a lot of fun. And Friday is Titan Season 2. Saturday is Saturday Morning Blast Off, and we'll wrap it all back around again with Preacher. So again, check the schedule out. Stuff is coming up. I mean, we have Harley Quinn is going to be happening in the middle of October, the animated Harley Quinn. What else do I have here? Let me grab my book, take a look at what I've got in my schedule. I have... That's right. Mr. Robot returns on October 6th. Watchmen, HBO's Watchmen comes out on October 20th. Let's see what else. Primal, October 7th. Gennady Tartakovsky's Primal. We'll see how that goes. The Man in the High Castle, their final season is November 15th. The Expanse on December 13th. And The Mandalorian on November 12th. along with a whole bunch of other Disney Plus stuff that's going to be coming out. So we've got WandaVision, we've got Hawkeye, we've got the Falcon and the Snowman. I mean, the Falcon and Winter Soldier. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be coming up here in the fall. Hey, so you're gonna check in for the Dark Crystal. Cool, nice. Finally back to catching up on Mr. Robot. Nice, Pen. Like I said, season 3 is really really good. Season 2 is a slog to get through. That's why I always tell people, if we're stuck in season 2, just watch the last 3 episodes of it, get caught up on that, and then just watch season 3. Because season 3 is where Mr. Robot is at, quite honestly. And then you kind of get an idea of the time frame of what things are going on and how it's actually a sci-fi show and not really it's not a drama. Well, it is a drama, but it's also a sci-fi show. That's all I can say. And I'm very much looking forward to this last season of Mr. Robot and how it's going to end. And hopefully that ends well. I hope Sam Esmail does something really good. So with that said, thank you everyone who joined me tonight in the chat. Thank you if you made it this far in the video. Excuse me as I have a little bit of throat things going on there. Pen Farm Girl, I burned through season 1 in a weekend and stalled halfway through 2, but I'm on the final episode now. I'll be ready for season 4 in plenty of time. Nice. Yeah, you got a month left, so that's plenty of time. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to let you guys go. I will see you on Tuesday for Is It Worth My Time? The Dark Crystal. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may find out that you're trapped in a cell in hell, and Fiore's, tempting you with a deal to become God for some reason, even though you really don't deserve it. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.